Hey, what's up, my friends? John Hiley here with Tactical Dent TX, bringing you another full-scale tutorial on a really deep ding in a interesting spot on this Lexus. This is actually a big body Lexus SUV. What is that, the LX3 something or another? But the dent is up here towards the front of the door. And one of the challenges when it comes to fixing this dent is that we've got laminated glass inside that door, which is very tricky because the glass is really close to the dent. So I'm going to start off by doing some glue pulling because I'm going to want to get as much as this damage shallowed up as possible before going in and actually pushing it out. And we'll get into all of that. And just so you know, I'm recording this during a thunderstorm. So if any rumbling that y'all might hear in the background, just know that Texas is already calling for some hail, and it's only February. So get happy about it, y'all. That's a little extra ambient noise in the background for us. So you can see here, first off, I started off with a little bit of alcohol. Now I'm using cactus juice. Everybody asked me what I'm using here. This is called cactus juice. This is from Anson PDR tools, and it essentially strips the panel so that the glue will hook up and adhere to the painted finish. Now I got a dead-on-dent slide hammer. This is the one that I carry mobile. And yes, as you guys can see, I am doing a mobile today. And so this dead-on dent tool slide hammer is going to come in handy for a few of the pulls, but ultimately I'm going to be using a mini lifter through most of the glue pulling part of this process. So you can see here I'm actually using Lexus yellow hail glue is what that's called. So it's Lexus yellow hail glue. I'm testing some glues right now. I got a lot of different glues that I have that I've never used, and I'm testing them, and I definitely think that this one is a good glue. Not necessarily my absolute favorite, but it's definitely good. So there we go, first pull. Didn't really move much, but my intention, there's a nice big crown up there above that body line. You can see it kind of peeking up there like a little mountain. And so I wanted to see if I could get a little bit of reverse tension on it. So that way, when I go to do the knockdown work, the crown follows that tension. Very important to understand that. And so I talked about this in many videos, I believe in a crown versus dent ratio on whether I'm going to approach the dent or the crown. Now what you guys see here is a full blow video that this is done completely with my Oakley Meta glasses, which is essentially you're almost very close to looking through what I'm seeing. You'll see that it's a little bit inaccurate sometimes, but this gives you kind of a first-person point of view of what I'm looking at and how I'm starting the dent, how I'm working the dent. So took a big pull there with that Atlas Titan. Them are still by far some of my favorite big pull glue tabs. It's like an oval football tab. If y'all know, you know. Now I'm going straight in for the deepest part of that round dent. And it really helps that it's on a convex. If you notice that it's actually on a convex. I think that if this was further into the middle of the panel, we would really have to contend with oil can dent here. Because it tried to oil can on me where it's at, where it's located, even on that slight curve. It's just a very deep dent. I got a really cool pushing technique that you guys are going to see today that later on in this video that I really think a lot of you are going to appreciate because it's not commonly used, not commonly talked about, and but I'll show you guys what's going on when we get there. Now I took my first glue pull right dead center of that big one, and now I'm actually trying to glue pull the shallow that is up above it. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stabilize this whole area so it doesn't start oil canning. And the easiest way to get an oil can going is to leave a giant low around it and pull it up. You've got to kind of stabilize that whole area, just kind of trying to bring up that whole area symmetrically, at least from the body line down. After it gets into the body line, that's not really going to be affecting that lower half. So you can kind of work that upper body line and then this lower dent independently without too much too much of the work affecting each other. Body lines always are like a protective barrier, protective barrier. I just got on my app that we've got lightning detected here, so you guys might hear some interesting rumble. It would be kind of crazy if it hailed here. I would have to run out while I'm doing this voiceover, and you guys will get to hear my my happy dance. Yes, of course I get happy when it hails. I ain't gonna lie to you. You should too. There we go. Nice glue pull there. Bringing it up. It actually came up a lot better than I thought that it was going to. Because initially, when I came and seen this dent, I told the client, first off, it put a really deep, kind of like a really deep impact point at the very bottom of that larger dent. So the bottom larger, the golf ball dent down there, it put a really deep impact point. And what that does on these, it typically smashes the metallic flake a little bit and causes it to a little bit of a discolor. Now this one wasn't bad. When I finished it, it was a little bit discolored, but the owner of the car couldn't even tell. And he wrote us a tremendously good Google review. So right there, I'm going straight in with the Pee-wee because, not the Pee-wee, this one's actually called, is this the Pee-wee? Yeah, I think this is the Pee-wee. Yeah, so normally I start in with the firing pin, but here I'm going straight to the Pee-wee, which is almost the sharpest peak knockdown tip that you can use. But I'm doing that because I really want to isolate my hits here, and I don't want to move too much metal down, again, for the fear of it oil canning. Y'all will see, because there's actually something you don't even notice until later on, once I get the dent up quite a bit, that there's actually a crease running horizontal there. So there, you'll see the crease here eventually. This is me going in with the pink knockdown and getting that crown out much as possible I can from this angle. You'll never fully get I call that like an apex crown, because it's like an A or like a mountain around the dent on all sides. You're never going to get it fully out until you cross check it, but you can get a lot of it down enough where the metal will begin to move. Like, really, I think that's the holdup. The metal just wasn't moving because the crown was locking it in up there. But again, I still a lot of times try to get that reverse tension, because if you can bring that body line up slightly and then work the crown down, your crown work flows a lot better. It moves a lot easier because it's got a tension point to roll into. It almost wants to go to it. So that's one of the reasons why I take them pulls, or sometimes I'll take pushes right there below the crown, because I am looking to create a tension spot, something that metal can actually flow to. And so I've just heard so many people talk about, hey, you always start with the crown or you always start with the dent. It's just not true. It's all situational. Most dent removal is situational. It's like a grappling match where when the dent does this, you do this, and the dent does that, and you do this, because there's so many surprises. There's so many things that can happen. I get out here to this dent, and here I got this is an old school piece of laminated glass. This is the newer stuff is a little bit stronger than this older laminated glass. This is the ones that were really tight in the door. And so I had to figure out measure a way. I had to get down in there with that edgy window wedge, light up that interior, and I had to figure out the right tools to actually get in there. Now, I've already thought this through, so I know which tools I'm going to use. So you'll see that when we get to that point. And then this is me, because every time I'm glue pulling it, the core, or the small middle part, which is actually really deep, very, very deep right here in the center. You guys see I'm getting great pulls. And y'all will see when I start pushing on it, this is very deep in the middle, but it's still getting smaller. And as long as it's still going in the right direction, it's still getting smaller, I don't feel like it's a big risk in oil canning, then I'm going to keep going after it. But now we're at the point where we'll go ahead and put a tool in there. This bad boy right here curves around the front of the glass. And so this is like my old school. See how I'm sticking in this direction? I'm doing it so it curves around the front of the glass. See that glass curves down. So I'm actually hooking back at the dent, which is not directly in front of the glass. It's just behind it. And now you see me giving it some push work. Now, earlier you see me adjust the heat gun. For obvious reasons, this is a perfect time to have a lot of heat on the dent, because this is where you risk cracking the paint. And it's not a cold Texas day, but it's a brisk Texas morning, starting to warm up right now. But this is me cranking on it, y'all. Like, because this tool almost hooks around and pushes straight in on it, which gives, see how I got that, the handle's tilted almost straight out? You can almost spin this thing inside that door. So I'm getting really strong leverage here. And you're going to see that I'm working it. And it's just really hard to get a pinpoint push that shrinks that center. Now, it's happening. You guys see it getting tinier. It is getting smaller, so we're definitely going in the right direction. But it's just not shrinking up as quickly as I want, or the metal's not gathering as quickly as I want. So you'll see me kind of knock it down, and I'm still contending with a dent, still contending with a round football style dent there. Obviously much smaller than what it was, right? So it was a big boy right there. And so now I'm backing the glue gun up, and this is where, or the heat gun up, this is where y'all are going to see some action. So now that I know that core, that center, is just so hard to shrink, what I'm going to be doing here is something you got to be very careful with this, guys. If y'all take this one nugget from me, be very, very careful with it, because this is an on-dolly. It's not an off-dolly, it's an on-dolly. What I'm trying to do is I'm holding tension, my tool, in the middle of that dent until I hear the ting, the ping, or until I feel or hear the ping, which means the two metal parts, the part of my hammer and the part of this tool, are connecting. Now, you want to talk about shrinking metal? This is ironically what shrinking metal actually means. It's when you're smashing, that metal in between two other pieces of metal. And so you can see how it's starting to get the core out. Now I'm just adjusting it. If I see a little dot here, I'll adjust it. See a little dot there, I'll adjust it. And you can kind of see me just moving. I'll see another little dot and I'll adjust it. And this will drive the metal up quick. Like there's nowhere for it to go. You see what I'm saying? So as I'm pushing the metal point on the tool into the middle of that dent, and I'm tinging it with the front of that blending hammer, which just has a titanium blending tip on it. These two pieces of metal are coming together, and I mean, you can feel it and you can see it actually drive its way through. So this is, I rarely have to use this technique, and it's called an on-dolly. I've showed you guys off-dolly, stuff like that, when it comes to moving metal under crowns, things like that. But this is an on-dolly, meaning that as I'm connecting the two together, it's on top of the actual tool. And so, I mean, you can see how great it works. I mean, just tremendous in gathering up the metal in the middle of that. I think I could have pushed on this thing and eventually got it, but it would not have had the stability that this on-dolly technique gave the panel, because it is really tightening up the center of that damage, making it much less of a candidate to do any kind of oil canning or anything like that. You can see we're looking pretty good there. It's definitely a high spot. Catch your shirt if you walk by it. Now I'm going in and using this VIP, and this is a stainless steel knockdown, the zero gravity knockdown, which is a great knockdown for a stainless steel tip like this. It's heavy, and if you ever pick this up, you'll love it, because the weight of the knockdown drives into the panel so much different than some of the carbon fiber stuff. And so you can see here now I'm just tapping it out and taking a look, tapping it out and taking a look. Interesting enough, as this starts to shape up, I'm going to have to start kind of blending that bend of the corner. I'm going to have to start. That's what you see me do. You see me just step back and take a look, because I'm looking at the whole panel in context, and I'm just seeing how it's flowing. Am I catching that curve just right? Now at this point, I'm going to be able to drive in there. And, the thing is, I got the meat and potatoes out of this, meaning that I've got the inner depth really worked out of this. So now this dent has just became moldable. I don't know if you noticed that, but I stick my tool in there, I make my pushes, and it freaking works. And so that's the power of that on-dolly technique that you guys see me use there. And I apologize that sometimes the video is going to look like it's upside down, but that's because y'all are literally seeing this the way that I look at it when I'm fixing it. And so, you know, a lot of times we're down, but my head is down to the side and looking up at the dent. So there we go. Some more knockdown work. You know, the thing about this, like I already knew that I'm going to have to wet sand the finish. And you got to be very careful with these metal knockdowns because they will flatten out the paint a little bit. But I already knew I had to wet sand it. And with the on-dolly technique and the already strong little divot that was in the center of the actual impact point, there was so many things going on there that I knew I was going to have to do a little 2000 grit wet sand and a little bit of buffing on it to make it perfect. Or at least very close to perfect. Customer felt it was perfect. He left us a 5-star review on Google. And also, this dent was turned down. So I believe that he told me this dent was turned down. You actually seen the dent try to oil can on us right there. Thankfully, where it's located at, it's got that curve that you can kind of build off of, and it'll stop doing that. But one of the reasons why you see the oil canning now, y'all can't see this right now. And to be honest with you, like I didn't even notice it until the large dent was gone. But there's a crease running towards me, and so I'll have to at some point move the light down and look down at that crease and get that out. Now you can kind of see me going in and hitting the spots that we pushed up earlier on. I left them tension points in there purposely. So the high spots that I had up there, I left them in there intentionally. So now look at this. There's a crease running from the dent on towards me. I suspect that this was like a rubber trash can or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. I can't remember if the client told me, but that's what I suspect. But you can see here, now I'm fixing that crease that's running towards me. That little thing right there is enough that will cause the dent to fall that direction and oil can a little bit. You know, I will tell you, I just feel so fortunate over this last hail season because I cannot remember a dent oil canning on me to the point where I could not fix it. And even I had one of my techs here that oil canned a dent on a brand new hood of I can't remember the make and model. I know it was a brand new vehicle, but it was an SUV white vehicle, and I went in with the power PDR box. I used the Cam Auto version, so Cam Auto has a power box, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to tell you guys how long it took me, but because this thing, when I tell you that he oil canned it, like he oil canned it, like probably to the point to where you could put a quarter on there and push it up and it would flip up like 5 feet in the air, right? And so it probably took me 7-8 hours to get the thing perfectly flat. I know it's wild. And, sometimes I'm happy to do that for my team, though, because I just paid him everything for the hood. And when I really got some people here that I appreciate, I like to do things like that for them because, that just lets them know that as the leader and as essentially the boss here, that I care for them and I care about the work that they do. And so here we go. Now, you see me again kind of pushing up that body line, but now you actually see me going in and doing the knockdown work on the crown again. You're also going to find that the more you push up the line, you'll start to begin to see a little bit more of that crown emerge. So when you get into the dance where you're pushing and then knocking down, pushing and knocking down, pushing and knocking down, little by little, you'll begin to see the crown will just begin to emerge because you are kind of leveling the finish, right? So things are starting to get level. I always look at this sometimes like if somebody was to level a yard, you know what I mean? You wouldn't just dig a giant hole and then put a big pile of dirt beside it. And then, you would start like, moving the big dirt, trying to get the big dirt into the big holes. And then you would start, next thing you know, everything would be wavy, everything would be up and down, and you would go through it with your tractor, and you would start, I don't even know if you use a tractor to do that because I've never done it before, but you would just start leveling that dirt until eventually all that land is level. Well, this one is a little bit different because you are leveling it, but you're bringing it back to its original shape. You're putting the curves back in where the curves need to be. And to me, it's like you're just filling up holes, and then you're taking down hills and all of this kind of stuff. I know it's kind of like how I imagine it, but it truly is an art for some of you who may be watching this, and maybe you're watching this just for the content because you want to use our services. You're trying to check us out, see what we're doing here, or maybe you're watching it because you need training, or maybe you're watching it because you're like me and you just love watching dent removals and you're trying to get one or two little nuggets out of it. Whatever reason you're watching this for, just know that. It's an art. It takes time. It takes patience. And in my opinion, you gotta really love what you do if you're gonna deliver a quality product. And over here at Tactical Dent TX, we absolutely love what we do. I love what I do. See, now you can see little by little. I have to cross-check this. But interesting enough, from this cross-check angle, I do not have access to push. And so this is where I'm going to be doing my knockdown work, but I'm going to go back in and start doing some glue pulling on this bad boy. So I'm going to start coming in from this exact opposite direction, doing some glue pulling, because, hey, whatever you have at your disposal, you got to use what you got. And currently in this direction, without taking the door off, this is what I got. And look, I'm mobile, guys. So I am, I'm mobile right now. I didn't bring hood stands. I don't bring door stands. I don't take off doors in people's garages. Maybe there's people out there that do that. That, my friends, I'm old school. This is the way I do it. I figure it out right here on the car. And you know what? I'm not knocking anybody the way that they do things, but this is just the way that I do things. See? You see how I was able to push on that crease, and you could see how it started oil canning towards that crease? That is exactly what I'm talking about when you have to really look at this dent from every imaginable angle, and you've got to work that panel out to its to its original shape, every angle you can possibly look. Because you can see there, although I got a good pull, and that was one a little tighter to where it was dented, I've still got some lows back in behind it, so we're going to have to go in and kind of sniper them out. And I'm using a decent-sized tab here. I mean, look, I see a lot of people use tiny little tabs, all good, but I'm ready to move some metal. In this area right here, you got to pull it hard to make it move. There we go. Yeah, this is a pretty neat Lexus. You rarely see ones that are done up like this. I mean, this thing's got the tires on it. This one's got the, I don't know what kind of tires they are, but it's got the kind of like the off-road look, the off-road package. Really cool guy that owns the car. He's a computer programmer. And unfortunately, I was talking to him, and he was kind of sweating it a little bit because he had a guy come out years ago and hack up a dent on his hatch, and just I guess that the guy did extremely bad job, and it couldn't be fixed after that. And so, here he is, finally found somebody to trust again. But you know how that is. It's still like he still remembers that previous experience. These are the super straight tabs. I love these tabs. I do love these tabs. They do have their application for me, but in this particular moment, you guys are going to see these things pull freaking hard. It's going to pull really hard. And so this is the adapted lifter. You got to use a robo lifter with these because they're taller. And then they also got to have these extendable feet on them. And you can get all that stuff from Black Plague, which is Keith Cosentino's brand. They're over there at the PDR College podcast. Okay, very, very good. Very good pull. But you see that big low that's at the tail end of this. So what did we do? Well, that tab pulled great. This super straight tab pulled great. And I don't know if you guys have heard my theory behind these super straight tabs. To be honest with you, I never listened to Keith's spiel. His son tried to get me to listen to his spiel at the Mobile Tech Expo, and I said, nah, I'm good. I'll just form my own opinion on it, bro. And so we had a good laugh about that. I was like, I've already listened to your dad for way too long. I'm just going to go take them, and I'm going to go use them. And so my own take on this is that they pull super straight because of that V channel in there. Squeezes upwards and doesn't allow the tab to tilt to right or left. And so if you look at a traditional tab, it's circular, and it has a lot of room and a lot of play inside of the receiver. And so these, when you hook up on them, they have no play inside of the receiver once you pull tight on it. So it wedges it in, meaning that you have no issues of it tilting from left to right. And I honestly think that the tilting when you glue pull, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you've done this before, you think that you put a tab right in the center of the dent and you pulled it, and it pulled to the right or it pulled to the left, and you missed the center. Well, you don't have that issue as much with these because there is no tilting. And so I believe that tilting can occur if there's a glued brace down below the dent where you're glue pulling, because that part of the panel's tighter, which will cause it to tilt against it. And so, but with these, it'd be impossible for it to tilt because of the way that the V is shaped into the receiver. It literally just goes in there, and there's just no way to tilt it. It just wedges its way in there. That's the best I can explain it now. I mean, I'm still in my testing phase, and to be honest with you, I'm still breaking in these tabs. I feel like tabs got a break-in period. When you first get them, they all, not all of them, but most of them are not good, right? Oils from the plastic, stuff like that. But they work a little bit at least. And so little by little over time, as you use them, they'll get broken in, and man, you get a real nice used old tab you pulled, with 1,000 times. Man, them things hook up. Pull a house off the foundation. Okay, so you see me getting the board back in place here. This is all I take mobile, by the way, guys. So this is what I carry mobile, is the board. So now you can see getting all of this all tightened up, taking a brand new piece of 2000 grit sandpaper here. I'm going to take it on in. Get the panel nice and wet. And this is me doing my wax on, wax off deal. I've tried all different methods, and listen, when it comes to paintless dent removal, the rules aren't the same as body shop. The rules are not the same as a body shop. Be very careful when you sand near a body line, by the way, guys. Especially if y'all get like a new Range Rover hood or something like that with some of the different pearls that are out there. Some of that stuff is very easy to sand through. Now this, no. This has got a nice clear coat, lots of clear coat on it. And I'm going to be using the Rupes brand new coarse pad because I was kind of a little bit of an idiot and cleaned my knockdown with one of these and chewed it all up. So I got a brand new buffing pad. If you ever use these, that's a Rupes pad as well. And they're a hard pad. And then right there's the Cost Chimney, which is, y'all listen, if you want to switch to a cutting compound, this is a heavy cutting compound. This stuff will change your life. Cost Chimney. I buy it off Amazon. It's KOSS Chimney. So there you go. Okay. And then we just go to town. So this is the Rupes, which is a random orbital polisher. And Rupes is an Italian brand that is very well known, that they won't leave swirls, and it definitely will not sling a lot of compound. And it will sling some, but it won't sling like a buffer. It does not leave holograms in the panel like high-speed buffers. And so when you go through this, and I actually do a 3-step to every vehicle. I don't think for sake of the tutorial and the training, I'm not going to take you through the 3-step. Literally, they got a yellow bottle next, and then a purple bottle at the end. I use the yellow bottle with the yellow pad, and then the white Rupes pad goes with the purple, which is the highest gloss. Now, what's beautiful about this compound is that it's a heavy cut, but it also has a high gloss to it. And this is also body shop safe, because I know I can hear some of you guys thinking, oh, wow, I wonder if it's got a bunch of like silicone or some of these things in there. Well, it does not, because it is body shop safe. A lot of body shops use this stuff. Anybody who's doing high-end auto detailing is going to use Koschemi, or they'll use the Rupes stuff. But in my opinion, I've got the Rupes stuff here, which of course has some of the best buffers. So I've got the Rupes, but the Koschemi is even better. So now, after getting that area cleaned up, there was a lot going on there where I had to shrink and had to use the sharper knockdown tip on it earlier. So now I'm going in and doing some more pushing. So there's some little lows, there's some little highs. This essentially cleaned my slate so I can see into it so much better than kind of the shrinking that was done there, causing it to be a little bit of, in my reflection, a little bit of a wrinkled up looking mess, right? So this cleaned all that off there, gave me a clean slate so that I can actually go in there and begin making my precision pushes. And I've heard people talk about that they use, wide pushing and all these things to make sure that you never have to shrink a dent. Well, guess what? This one right here would have oil canned all day long. So this is one of the ones that, in my opinion, the best method is to use the shrinking method that I used with the On-Dolly technique. Works incredibly well, but you will have to do a wet sand and buff to it. Here we are doing some knockdown work. And this is one of them deals where I told the client, I said, hey, I'm going to do what I can to make it much better. I think it'll get to the point to where, if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't notice it at all. And so he loved that idea. And he also knew, based on, went around, talked to some other shops, found out that, yeah, guess what? Everybody thinks this is a very difficult dent, and nobody wanted to take it on. I didn't find that out until I got there, because I had seen, I believe, a photo and a video of it, and I said, well, yeah, it looks like we could probably fix it. And went out there, and then I kind of heard the backstory and kind of what he went through trying to get it repaired. You can see how much smoother that finish is after going through that wet sand and polish, you guys. And so this is me just stepping, putting the light way back as far as I can, with still being able to visualize and see that dent. But right there it is, my friends. You can see that it really cleaned up well. I mean, especially, what we had in the beginning. If you don't remember what that was, look. Click the little rewind button, go watch it in the beginning. Thing was pretty gnarly looking for a door ding. There we go. That's my that's so you can levitate your head up a little bit. That's me using the reverse, holding the knockdown with the reverse technique. And even now I'm still picking a little bit of that crown out of that top. Still picking a little bit of that crown out right there at the top. Most of the time you're going to finish with knockdown work. Because knockdown, you kind of control the, you're going to control the visual element of it. I mean, you can really see, you can see what's happening with pushing, but it's like once you've made a push so far, you're going to have to knock it down. So a lot of times you're going to spend that the last bit maybe doing a few tiny little pushes, but a lot of it you're going to spend more time at the end of a dent like this doing knockdown work. So there you guys have it. You see the curve that's kind of like built into the panel? Now you can see just a little squiggle in there, right? Just a little tiny bit. But the client was absolutely thrilled with the repair here. And then right here is your natural reflection. You got a line board courtesy of a cabinet. Here you go. Now you got a little bit of that deeper, reflection going through it, all the houses, all the different things going through the panel. And there you have it, my friends. So I appreciate you for coming along on today's training. And as usual, I'll see you on the next one.